Many of you who know me know that I love YuYu Hakusho. And recently, the series has been getting some love through some new figures and merch. We've already done Hiei, so today, let's take a look at the pop-up parade of YuYu Hakusho's very own Kurama. Kurama is a great character. I actually wound up probably liking him the most out of all of the characters in YuYu Hakusho after everything was said and done. It was really interesting how much they really split up the importance of him and Yusuke towards the end of the series. Kurama is a pretty boy, but he's got a cool demeanor and doesn't really care whether or not people think he's cool or sexy or whatever it might be. And that's pretty dope. And Goodsmile has blessed us with great new figures that are at an affordable price here, with Kurama coming in at under $40. So with introductions out of the way, let's rose whip our way into this box and see if Shuichi Minamono, I mean Kurama, will whip his way into our hearts. Kurama comes in one blister, and with that terrible clear box out of the way, I would just recommend throwing those out. Seriously, Goodsmile, can we put a little more effort into those? Now, Kurama here comes in one solid piece. And once all the plastic is removed from him, he looks pretty good. Now, I did only say pretty good, because unfortunately, Kurama here has quite a few production errors, and most of them are in painting. I think overall they went with a really boring outfit for him too, though of course he does wear this for quite a bit of the series. I don't know, I just feel like Hiei somehow seemed so much cooler looking with what he had on. They're probably all going to be dressed from the Dark Tournament, so I can't really complain too much. The sculpting is pretty darn good. I think that's where this figure shines the most. The actual outfit he's wearing is obviously very willowy, I suppose, but it's very open, and thus there are plenty of wrinkles and flowing effects to it, which all looks pretty good. It's only when you get in there is when you really find that he's just not as good looking as Hiei. Maybe I wanted more from him because this is Kurama, but I don't know. I feel like the face is particularly very boring. Like, he just has a sort of a dot for a mouth. It's pretty flat. Hair sculpt looks decent. There's a little weird situation in regards to the spikes coming out the top. They look a little unnatural, and in the back, the choices for the layering are really weird, and the painting doesn't make sense to have dark tips here, but then no darkness here. Though it is nice to see some shading actually applied. Though again, like I said, these spikes just sticking out from right here, being like glued in there, look pretty awful. And on the top of his head, you can see there's a pretty big paint mark right there. It almost looks like a scratch, but this guy was in the blister by himself, so I don't see how that would have happened. Inside the hemming of his outfit, you can also see a lot of fades with the yellow and blue mixing together, and just overall kind of shoddy paintwork throughout the figure. This is probably the biggest problem area. On both sides, you can just see there's kind of a sloppiness to the paint that's inside there, though I will give them credit for it being a pretty fine area for them to have to paint, so what are you gonna do? Though on the chest of mine, you may not see it because it's very faint, but along just under his hand, there's some gray specks. Not sure if my camera is picking them up, but I assure you there's something there that is not coming off. The rose looks pretty good, but the fact that Hiei had the darkness flame coming off of his hand, I feel like they should have given him something. Maybe the whip fully extended, maybe just wrapping it around him would look really cool, but just this is kind of plain. You gotta love those loafers though, which of course brings me to the pegs in his feet, which is of course how you stand him up. Hiei came with a purple stand, so it makes sense that his is orange? I'm not really complaining. I actually think this color looks pretty good. It's very candy looking, and I think it'll look good next to the purple one, and if they give Yusuke and Kuwabara similarly colorful stands, they'll look great together. Just felt like maybe a purplish or a sort of pink would have been better for him. I don't know. He plugs in easy enough, and there's no issue with him standing flat on the stand, which I have seen before, so don't even question me talking about that. But once there, he stands up pretty much perfectly fine. Okay, and you may think I'm crazy for this part, but I had to dig out Hiei just to make sure of one important detail. That detail being that they are about the same height when you compare them both because, well, Hiei has very tall hair. But when you look at them from head on, you can see that Hiei's face is much lower than Kurama's, which is very important to me. Hiei is incredibly short, so if they would have made Kurama and Hiei the same height, I would have been kind of mad. Kurama clocks in at about 18 centimeters tall, while Hiei is like 16 or 17, but that's only because of, like I said, his hair being so much taller. Their faces both come up to a much different level, and Kurama's head is slightly cocked, so it makes even more sense that he's that much taller. I said during the Hiei review that I would have been mad if he was the same height as the rest of the cast, so I'm glad they've stuck with the canonical height. So then, all in all, I think that this is a pretty solid release, but I am a little bit let down by it. I won't say that it looks horribly different from its prototype images because it's pretty spot on. They didn't mislead anybody with this, but I do just personally think that once you have it in hand, next to Hiei, it really is outclassed. The Hiei figure just seems so much better developed and just more fleshed out because of the fact that they gave him transparent parts with an effect on his arm. Kurama's just holding a rose. And that's not canonically incorrect, but it's just a bit boring. Again, he has some production errors, and overall, he's kind of plain, but I am happy just to see him, and it's not as if he isn't a decent representation of this character. I would have liked for them to have maybe made his whip sort of spiral around him. I think they could have easily done that, but I guess you can't ask for too much with something that was only $30. Kuwabara better have his sword, and I don't even know what they're going to do with Yusuke, but it better be good. They better put poo on his head or something. With all that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and give the pop-up parade of Kurama a 7 out of 10. I was teetering on a 6, and I felt like it really deserved it, but the more I really look at the figure, it's not terrible. It represents Kurama rather well. It's just that it's kind of a boring representation, especially when you put it beside the Hiei figure. I'm not mad that I bought it, mainly because of the fact that there's not very many YuYu Hakusho statues, especially ones that are affordable, so I'll take what I can get here. But what do you guys think? Was I too mean here, or do you agree? Let me know in the comments below, and like the video, of course, if you liked it. And of course, I have plenty of other videos on this channel, so if you did enjoy this, make sure to go watch another one. I'll link something right here for you. Just so you know, I have a Hobby Link Japan link where if you want to buy any figures, using that link will get me a small commission, and you pay no more for the figures. And until next time, my friends, thank you so much for watching, have an amazing day, and keep on collecting.